Good evening. Welcome to the July 17th, 2023 meeting of the Coeur d'Alene Parks and Recreation Commission. Melissa, will you get us started with roll call, please?
Commissioner Cranston.
Here.
Commissioner McDowell.
Here.
Commissioner Lean.
Here.
Commissioner Tate.
Here.
Commissioner Hill.
Here.
Commissioner Bakes.
Here.
Commissioner Wood.
Thank you, Melissa. Commissioner McDowell, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance
My
tonight?
pleasure. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, do any of the commissioners tonight have a conflict of interest with any of our agenda items?
No.
None here.
There are none. That brings us to our first action item is approval of the May 15th, 2003 meeting minutes. Are there any corrections or a motion to approve?
I move that they be accepted as written.
Okay.
I'll
Is there-
second.
Okay, motion's been made to accept the May 15th, 2023 meeting minutes as written by Commissioner Bakes and seconded by Commissioner Tate. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Meeting minutes are approved. Bill, that brings us to our staff report.
Good to see everybody this evening. I hope your summer's going well. We've been very busy in the parks. First, I'll talk to you about a new program that Adam Rouse started. We've got a partnership going on with the CDA Public Golf Course offering kids golf lessons, or camp actually. And we've had about 25 kids this summer with our new partnership and expect to expand to about 120 kids. So he's been going out this last week, the first part of every morning, and spending some time out there with the kids, and it's been very successful. You might have seen an article in the paper about it. But so anyway, kudos to Adam for putting that together, and hope that we can continue to find new sorts of programs. On the park side of business, yesterday I was at a function in City Park to honor Chris Gugamus. His brother Gary was there, spoke, and I spoke a little bit. We had planted a tree and a plaque in honor of Chris that says Chris Gugamus, in memory of Chris Gugamus, the Music Man. So we've got, I talked a little bit about this, and I'll tell you about it as well. The tree we selected, I was talking to our staff, and everybody had some good ideas, but the one that I liked the most because it's just the most unusual tree, it's called the metasequoia, dawn redwood. It's a deciduous conifer like our tamarack here is. The tamarack turns more yellow. It's got a round needle. This fella's got a flat needle, kind of like a fir, but it's more of a burnt orange color in its appearance. It's as it gets older, the trunk gets kind of gnarly. The neat backstory on this tree was they were thought to be extinct. We had fossil records of them that were millions of years old. They happened to find a grove in the mid-30s in China. So they cultivated it here at an arboretum, and we've been passing them out for a few years at Arbor Day as little seedling giveaways. I have one in my yard because of a seedling giveaway. It's about this big now. So it's a really cool, unique, and kind of funky tree, and that's why I kind of liked it for Chris. I thought he was kind of cool, unique, and funky all rolled into one.
How appropriate.
We've been having lots of vandalism. Continues. Our season not over. And so far, playgrounds, buildings, vandalism is up to $30,000.
Shoot.
Now, an indication of some of that about how it gets so expensive. Shattuck Park a few weeks ago had about 15 heads kicked off in one night, which is not uncommon. It happens. But the heads out there are kind of large, and they're about $80 a pop. That's happened out here at McEwen. They're $90 a pop. And the last time we bought them this year, they were $110 a pop. And so it adds up real quick when somebody's out there kicking off a dozen or more heads. So We had some complaints from the citizens around Bluegrass. We have opened that up, and as soon as we open that one up, it's vandalized again. We had it so vandalized that we had a church group come in and help us repaint it. And we got it all ready, opened it up, they vandalized it again. So it remains closed, and I don't think that I may or may not open it up the rest of the season. We have porta potties out there, but it's been 5, if not 6 times at that particular playground, when we open it, it gets damaged again. So I don't know what the answers are. In fact, that neighborhood, they painted some of the restroom, they got cars in the neighborhood, personal property mailboxes. So they were, I think, asking all the neighbors in that area if they had Ring cameras and whatever, they could maybe help find the culprits. And I haven't heard word whether or not they apprehended anybody on that one yet. But that's the reason for it. And like I say, we're not done with this season yet.
Bill, predominantly, where is most of the vandalism occurring?
It's odd, Commissioner. It's Landing's got hit a few times. Northshire, it moves around. I mean, it seems like if it's a transient residence, for example, they have rentals in a neighborhood, maybe somebody new moves in, and we've seen this happen where it happens for a while and then it doesn't. So my guess is it's always been somebody that has some kids that move in that are a little bit rowdy, and then they move away, because then it stops. There were years where we would get ongoing vandalism at Northshire Park. And then sometimes we would go 18 months without a problem at all, and then it would start all up again. So there's no rhyme or reason for it. The skateboard park one there by Memorial has been hit several times this year as well.
So well-lighted areas and facilities don't seem to be much of a deterrent then.
No, there seems to be. Last year we found it there was a TikTok challenge about some of that sort of thing. So that was something we found a lot. We got, early spring, we got hit at Thorco Field with a lot of vulgar racial language on buildings and the trail. We just took care of it. The police were notified. But again, we try to get to this stuff as quickly as we can. We don't really like to talk about it much, but I think it's important for everybody to understand what we're up against. We are very quick. That's why people don't see it as a problem, and I like it that way. It also allows us to just keep our city looking clean, and maybe we can beat them at their own game because they just don't want to keep messing with it, I hope. I don't know what to tell you.
Mr. Chair, is the vandalism, is there a pattern, I mean, is there a similarity to what kind of vandalism they're doing?
Well, it varies. I mean, it's a lot of, sometimes it's just tagging, and sometimes they just spray paint and tear, paper dispensers off walls. Sometimes they light trash cans on fire. Sometimes they jump up and down on a sink and tear it off the wall. Sometimes they decide to take a rock and beat the commode or the urinal. I mean, so it varies. Some of it's really severe, and some of it's just enough that we can't open it up because we don't have time to replace the toilet right then and there. And, toilets are, what do you say, $300-400 a piece? Yeah. So, there's no rhyme or reason for it.
Is it all happening at night?
Yes. Well, it actually has happened during the day too, but yeah, we found
Mostly
it.
at night.
Mostly at night, yes. Yeah.
I think we've talked about this before, and it's equally frustrating every time I hear about this. Can we look at doing some type of a camera?
I have. And so we did it at Landings. We found a really nice remote, a handheld, wireless is the word I'm looking for, I'm sorry. And we used it at the Landings because we got hit there several times. And then we put it up and then this thing stopped. I mean, and so we weren't getting any pictures that of anybody that doing stuff. So they maybe we put it in a spot where we don't let them know that it's there. Maybe they saw it, but it's on a pole. It's a hunting trail camera, game camera. It's really nice because you can download the pictures right onto your, some of those older ones you had to get to the SIM card and pull it out and then download it. These are like, boom, right onto your phone. So we are installing those at some places, yes.
And I guess as a follow-up to that, if we've got pictures of kids doing vandalism, is there a palette for prosecuting them and/or their parents
Sure.
for the damage that they do?
yeah, and I hesitate, the restitution that we received isn't close. I mean, my staff, I mean, we're trying to capture all of the costs, right? But even when we do, here's a good example. A few years ago, we had some kids, 3 of them, we caught them, that did graffiti and some vulgar paintings on the basketball court here. There were 3 caught. The cost at the time to resurface that was about 10 grand. They were able to get restitution from 1 kid. The other families couldn't afford it. I mean, I don't know where it falls off the rails and why we don't get the full restitution. I've worked for years and I stopped doing it because it was a waste of time, where we did mediation with those kids and I would go in and talk to them about what troubles it caused. They don't care.
Right.
So me telling them how difficult it is for our staff and how bad it is for our society and all those sorts of things that you would think would make an impact, they don't. It rolls off their, it's like a duck in water, man. It doesn't stick. And then when I get it to a point where they were supposed to be assigned to us to do some sort of work, restitution, they disappear. Or even when the parents, there's one time their parents came up, it was a 4th of July, we thought, okay, we'll have them picking up trash. That's an ugly thing to do on a 4th of July, lots of trash. And the parents had even a flippant attitude when they delivered the kid. And so no wonder the kid behaves the way that he behaves, because the dad was, he wasn't a stellar dude. So, his role model isn't good to start with. So I don't know what the answer is.
I would think at least holding them accountable for the damage done, and it seems like the only thing that might translate is their pocketbook
Right.
and whatever it takes, but the
hardship
city
story, I
attorney
can't
has to
afford it.
have
So
the
then we
stomach
roll
for
into
doing
this
it.
thing. It happened last year where they wanted to have them work it off. And I told the prosecutor, I said, I'm not interested. It doesn't work. I understand that they can't afford to pay it, and I'm sorry for that. But it doesn't work, at least in my experience. Maybe I'm doing something wrong, but it certainly hasn't worked for us so far.
Well, I guess the logical progression for that, in any other case, when damage is done, if they can't afford to pay it, you secure a lien, you follow it through to secure whatever they have as collateral to satisfy the damage. And it needs to hurt. If they're not gonna care, it needs to hurt.
We're talking about hurting the parents.
Correct. Financially, not physically.
I understand that. Thank you.
Okay, Bill, what else you got?
Okay, let's see. Mr. Bill Andrews has decided to retire August 1st. Mr. Andrews worked for us starting way back when Ice Storm as a seasonal. He got hired as a full-time person in 2001 by myself and Mr. Terry Machado. And so he's had 22 years as a full-timer, about 7 years as a seasonal. Decided to hang up his Parks hat and take care of his grandkids. So best luck to Bill. The Harbor Center docks are doing really well out there. They're busy as can be, and I'm real pleased with the way that came together. Just as an FYI, they're doing a good job and good folks to work with. The mooring docks are out for bid. The deadline to turn that bid packet in is the 26th, this Wednesday, right? Yeah. And a completion date of May 24th. We'll get the funds in September. We can start doing some preliminary work, and we'll see how our numbers come in. I don't know. We're going to be close. I think we're going to be very close, because we had $350 from the WIF grant, and we were going to throw $150 in it. That account, I will tell you, is fairly strong due to the fact that I've been padding that with anticipation of this. So if we had some cost overruns, I could certainly talk about a budget amendment of some sort to help the project along if we ran into some cost overruns there a little bit. Now, this is an interesting one. So I had word that someone was operating a business on these mooring docks. And I went out there several times and tried to locate the people that were leaving a pontoon boat there for rental. And third or fourth try, finally caught up with them. And I was up there at the buoy, not having a beer, but just up at the buoy, looking at what was going on, and they were conducting business. And when their customers left, the two ladies came up, and I introduced myself, and we had a long conversation about what they're doing and why they can't do what they're doing and what they should be doing. And she was very apologetic, and of course, what am I going to do? This is our business model. And I said, well, you should have thought your business model through a little differently, because you can't use public land as private business. So they go away, and then I get on their website and find out that on their website, their business address is our address of the mooring docks. So I sent them 2 separate emails and have yet to hear back from them about their operations. And I told them that they cannot do that, and they need to change their website and get our address off of their address as a site of business. So we'll see how that one plays out.
Interesting.
Riverstone Shade, we've been having some trouble with that. We've been talking about that a bunch, and we had some difficulty with the poles and the soil and the water and the muck and all this stuff, and it's been delayed. And then we had to get a new shade constructed to fit the new configuration of the poles. The shade will be here August 1st. So we're going to take delivery on that day, and then we're coordinating with a couple of different sorts of lifts. Adam's got a lift, we're going to rent a lift, and we've got our bucket trucks. So, because we don't know what we're up against, we've never done this. So we'll put it up that week of August 1st when it arrives, and we'll have it up for 30 or 40 days for it to take it down again. So we're going to get our training in early this year so we figure out how to do this. And the Jewett House garage has been challenging, to say the least. I didn't realize what we were up against when it came to our insurance. Insurance costs came in and they were way under budget, and I couldn't figure out how I was going to build the Jewett House garage with the amount of money that they gave us on insurance. And I went round and round and round with everybody, and finally I started dwelling down in it enough where I contacted our insurance guy, John Getty. So he looked into it for us, because I found a schedule where they had taken what the value of it was, the building, the garage, and depreciated it. Okay, rolling stock I get, but real estate, I'm not certain how it depreciates. The market determines that, not however that works. But turns out that they will replace the garage, and we'll get it going. I've got to work out a few details with our building department, but they gave us $119,000. I figured we'd need $200 to get it rebuilt. We're putting it into a different spot on the east side instead of on the south side. So now that opens up from the back. It just opens up that grass area much, much nicer now. So we should start seeing that done before the snow flies this year, I hope. Other than that, nothing else for you.
Going back to the commercial docks at Harbor Center,
Yes, sir.
with the completion success of those docks down there, have you seen a noticeable relief or pressure of commercial activity at Third Street?
I have. I've been there a few times looking specifically for that, and it seems to have leaned out a bit. There still are some players that are utilizing it, and, we allowed for that to take place with a specific launch lane, and they aren't always doing that, but Diamond Parking is there to help. There are partners in this, and the gal is always doing her best to get people in and out in a timely fashion. It takes a little time to put the vessel in the water, wait for your customers. You have to get your trailer out of the way. And now you've got to, if the trailer parks are taken up in the parking lot here, you've got to come all the way up here to McEwen to park. And so it gets timely. And in order to do that, even if you or I would launch our boat and, we're going to have to tie that thing up and wait till we get all the way over here, drive through traffic, and then walk back, it's going to take 20 minutes or more at a minimum, depending on how traffic is and how fast you can walk. So, yeah, but it's better, to answer your question. Yes, I believe it is better.
Yep. Any other questions for Bill? Thank you. Do any of the commissioners tonight have any comments or announcements? Nope. We don't have public comments tonight, given that we don't have an audience this evening. It's just us. So that'll move us along to our next action item regarding Coeur d'Alene on Ice ownership change. Bill, I'll go ahead and just read the staff report, and then you can take over and add anything that might be appropriate. The decision point tonight is, should the Parks and Recreation Commission recommend that City Council consent to the transfer of the existing 5-year renewable lease agreement with J. Murray Enterprises LLC to VMC Northwest LLC, doing business as Coeur d'Alene on Ice, to operate a seasonal ice skating rink in McEwen Park. For years, staff looked for a consistent winter activity in the downtown core that would promote winter park use and increase downtown activity. Staff determined, and council agreed, that a seasonal ice skating rink has and will continue to do just that. For the last 2 winters, the business has been well received here at McEwen Park. The current operator of the ice skating rink, J. Murray Enterprises LLC, which is Jerome and Andrea Murray, doing business as Coeur d'Alene on Ice, is seeking to transfer the operation of the ice skating rink and the agreement with the city to VMC Northwest LLC, who is Kent Layden, DBA Coeur d'Alene on Ice. Under the agreement, written consent of the transfer by the city is required. If the agreement is transferred, all the original terms and conditions will continue to apply to the new operator. Coeur d'Alene on Ice will pay the City of Coeur d'Alene Parks Department $6,498 plus the annual CPI for 2023. The upcoming season will be year 3 under the agreement. There is an option to extend the agreement for 5 more years, starting at $10,000 per season, with incremental yearly increases shown within the agreement. Coeur d'Alene on Ice will pay for all power costs associated with the ice rink. All revenue generated from the agreement will be placed in the park's capital improvement fund. The season setup for the rink starts in mid-October and operations run through mid-January. Park staff already removed snow from the park sidewalks and trails, so the sidewalks will be cleared for patrons of the rink. Ice rink staff will assist with some snow removal near the rink. The staff of Coeur d'Alene on Ice will help with the cleaning of the restroom throughout the day and after hours. Coeur d'Alene on Ice will provide security for the facility when the rink is closed. Coeur d'Alene on Ice will cover all the costs of the erection and maintenance of the ice rink and surrounding area, and will restore the area of the park used to as good or better condition at the end of each season. Coeur d'Alene on Ice will charge users and operate limited concessions, and will be solely responsible for advertising and promotion. Again, the decision or recommendation tonight should council consent to the transfer of the existing 5-year renewable lease agreement with J. Murray Enterprises LLC to VMC Northwest LLC, doing business as Coeur d'Alene on Ice, to operate a seasonal ice skating rink in McEwen Park. Anything to add?
Well, so the Murrays came in to my office earlier this year talking about the change. Kent was their manager, their on-site manager. And when I asked them, gosh, that's a shame, and they said they just wanted to spend more time with the family. So I get it, and everything operational should go the same. As I said in the staff report, it's well-received. People really, really enjoy it, and it seems to be a perfect fit for downtown, the cruise boats, everything that goes on in that holiday season. It just makes for a very nice evening. I didn't do it last year. The year before, I had my grandkids and my kids, and and my dad was there, and we had a great time. It was really nice. It was the last weekend of it was the last day in December. Now I think about it, it was colder than heck, but it was fun. It was a great time, and I've heard that from a lot of different people. So I hope Kent does well at it. He wanted to be here tonight. He and I spoke earlier in the week. He planned on it, but something has come up, and he emailed me today that said he wasn't going to be able to make it. I said, it's not necessary. It's just my commissioner would like to have a face with the business. At some point, he'll drop by and say hi, so you can, if this moves forward, he'll come in and say hi, and we'll talk about his season or something.
So Kent's been the on-site manager and very
Yes.
familiar with its operation.
Yep.
Yep.
And the Murray's, part of this deal is they will help him set it up the first season, and, because everything is already built, so they've got it in storage, and it's prefab, then he put where they sell things and where they are renting the skates from, or they break it down and store it and bring it back and put it back up.
Any questions for Bill? Any discussion?
I guess just one point for discussion. Bill, has there been any concern with regard to the recovery of the lawn and such after it's taken down in the spring, or has that gone well from your perspective?
It's been okay. We had a couple of hiccups. One was last year, not this year as much, but last year it was too cold and we couldn't get the grass to germinate when we wanted to. And so we put it down and it didn't do as well as we'd hoped. This year was a little better, but we had some difficulty with our pump, so we had a couple of dry spots. But we'll get there. And the first year we did it, it took a little more fine tuning because we created a plateau in the grass so it would be level. And so we've got that all flattened out, not flattened out, but the hill or the shoulder of that is very soft, so it runs out a long ways rather than having a very acute shoulder. We've had them spread it out as far as we could, so it's just a really nice, soft transition that has like a flat plateau where they set the rink on itself.
Okay,
Yeah, so it's doing fine.
okay,
Good.
good.
Well, if there's nothing further, I'll entertain a motion.
Well, I would make a motion that the council should consent to the transfer of the existing 5-year renewable lease agreement with J. Murray Enterprise LLC to VMC Northwest LLC, DBA Coeur d'Alene on Ice, to operate the seasonal ice skating rink in McEwen Park.
Second.
Okay. Motion's been made by Commissioner Lean and seconded by Commissioner Hill to recommend to council to consent to the transfer of existing 5-year renewable lease agreement with J. Murray Enterprises LLC to VMC Northwest LLC, DBA Coeur d'Alene on Ice, to operate a seasonal ice skating rink in McEwen Park. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that will move forward with a unanimous approval. Bill, does this now go to general services?
Correct, next
Okay.
Monday. One correction, Commissioners, before we move on. The next two items are actually one item. I just looked down and realized that.
Okay.
So they're not two separate items. It's been packaged as one. So it's item 9 and not item 9 and 10.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, so our next item is in regards to access control upgrade and lighting improvements at the library. Here's the staff report. Decision point tonight, should council approve the financing for library lighting upgrades in the amount of $20,689 and for citywide access control upgrade in the amount of $13,500 outside the current budget. The library currently uses a large variety of antiquated lighting technology throughout the building. This older technology is considered energy inefficient and is costly to maintain and replace. Avista is currently offering rebates for the purchase and installation of common high-efficiency lighting equipment. Installation of LED fixtures and lamps would lower operational and maintenance costs and improve aesthetics for patrons and staff. The current access control system, which operates all lock-unlock schedules and card access across all major city buildings and campuses, is supported by an on-premise server located at City Hall. The on-prem server is no longer supported by the city's service provider. The company has switched their services to a cloud-based subscription and rendered the old on-prem server as obsolete. In the event of server failure, the city's access control system would remain operational, but the ability to modify users and schedules would be lost. The cost of the library lighting upgrade is $44,500. Avista offers a rebate of $23,811, which brings the total cost to $20,689. The citywide access control upgrade has an installation cost of $13,500 with an annual subscription fee of $6,900 to operate and maintain the system. The access control company offers a buyback program for our obsolete hardware. This insensitizes the existing customers to remain with the company by offering an equipment replacement at approximate 80% discount. Neither of these projects are slated for the current budget, and we ask that council approve the use of the general fund to pay for both projects. Utility rebate programs can change regularly. These programs fluctuate in eligibility, approved products, and available rebate funds. The rebate amount for the library project has been approved by Avista, and the electrical contractor has secured materials, cost, and availability. The current access control server is operating past its life expectancy and cannot be repaired or replaced. In the event of a failure, the city would lose major functionalities of the system and be forced to upgrade. Our service contractor currently has the replacement hardware secured and staff available to begin the system upgrade immediately. The LED lighting retrofit at the library would lower the building's energy demand by roughly 80,000 kilowatt hours, equating to an annual energy savings of about $6,000. The access control upgrade is necessary to maintain functionality of the city's security system. Again, the decision point or recommendation tonight, should council approve the library LED lighting upgrade and the citywide access control upgrade. Adam Carrico here, our building maintenance superintendent is here, so do you have anything to add to the report?
Nothing really to add. I think I spelled it out pretty well here. The lighting upgrade for the library, the building is using kind of a hodgepodge of different lighting. As I had mentioned, a lot of it's antiquated, or almost all of it's antiquated, whether it's fluorescent or metal halide or lots of other of these. Even these older LEDs are a bit antiquated by today's standards. So it'd be nice to get the building converted over to a more uniform LED schedule, both on the interior and exterior, which includes the parking lot lights as well. And it would help. Even if we look through this room, we can see different shades of light throughout here. It would help kind of uniform all of that and add to the aesthetic and make it look, I think, a lot better.
Any questions for Adam? Jenny?
I do have one. On the new server system,
Yes.
is it possible? Do they have an option that adds cameras to that, given that we need to lock and unlock our buildings and we have
Yes.
problem people?
The company we use is Brevo, and they do offer cameras, but the cameras that we currently use are through Adnetics, and IT manages that aspect of the security.
So our cameras here on this campus are pretty good.
Okay.
So it's the other problems out in the parks where we have the problem. But
Right.
here, we've got, gosh, I can't, how many cameras around this building and close by? We've got
There's
a lot.
a lot of cameras around this area, this campus.
And I guess I'm just wondering at what point are we going to be, and I get this, the game cams, because I have those all over the place too. But at what point might we be considering cameras on those restrooms and on the equipment in our parks?
That's really driven by IT and availability of fiber connected to our network. So we're working with them now on some fiber connection for the newest park, Atlas. Now, we've got fiber from about where the bus station is there off of LTs. But in order to get it tied to our server, it's got to go from there all the way up to Ironwood. And so that's a big chunk of change. So some of it is just
And I
that
do know that's
infrastructure.
not there yet, since my office is
Yeah,
there.
right. So it's just about infrastructure really is what drives that. And
Okay.
as the technology, I think, gets better, we may get more, well, even like these game cameras, for example. They've come a long way from even 5 years ago. The ones we bought then were really old. Now, like I said, you can download everything to your phone. So it's getting better. So I think that at some point we'll be able to get those tied in.
That's good. I was just going to look at a long-range plan. Perfect. Thank you.
You know, and as we build parks, we build that in. I mean, we did that with Atlas. So we had some of that where we brought the fiber to a certain point, but we didn't have the next leg put together. So like this annexation that we just did at Coeur, for example, we've got a couple parks there. In that infrastructure, we will certainly, tie that in to the operations and the budget to build the park.
Thank you.
Mike?
Yeah, I don't know if this is a question for Adam or for Bill. Both projects seem to be very worthy projects. No question about that. My question centers on why wouldn't this be considered as part of the budget process as opposed to needing to go outside of the budget process?
That, we discussed through it, and feel more of the urgency of the two items. The lighting is the secured rebate we have with Avista. They've already approved that, and we're good to go on that. And then the security is more on not if it fails, but when it fails, being that the server is obsolete, unsupported, and
Sure.
just to be ahead of that event.
Okay.
So it's better to take advantage of the rebate and things that are available now versus waiting and defer these to the next budget cycle?
Yes, because that number I have in the report is secured.
Okay. Thank you.
I had a question for Adam. Those savings sound fairly significant. Just by chance, did either Avista or the general contractor happen to mention what the period of payback would be on something like that to where it's break even?
Yes, I believe right now the savings would be roughly the 80,000 kilowatts, which comes out to about $6,000 a year.
Okay, great.
Yeah, so a pretty good return on
Bet.
investment on that.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Less than
Yes.
4 years.
Anything else? Any further discussion or a motion?
I'll make a motion. I move that council should approve the library LED lighting upgrade and the citywide access control upgrade.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion's been made by Commissioner Tate and seconded by Commissioner Bakes to recommend council to approve the library LED lighting upgrade and the citywide access control upgrade. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that's a unanimous recommendation, Bill, and I guess that will also go to general
Yes,
services
thank you.
on Monday.
Yes, it will, on Monday.
Okay. Well, that kind of comes to the end of our regular agenda. Last chance to make any announcements or comments.
I'm very excited about the golf program for the kids.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, Adam was too. He's a golfer, so he's really enthralled, and he's very pleased with the pros out there because they seem to have a real heart to teach, and so he recognizes it and says they're really having a blast. So the kids are responding well to it, and so we hope, like I said in my comments here, that it'll continue to grow.
Well, and it's a nice alternative to kids that are not fans of contact sports.
Right, yeah, it certainly is. You know, I had an interesting one, and I'll just share this with you because it came in today. A person with the U.S. Fencing Association contacted us because they're getting ready to do the games. And this is, they said they wanted to do some exhibitions here in our parks. And I said, let's have a talk. I think it's a good idea. Yeah,
It is good.
I'd like to see that.
yeah, it would be fun.
Mike?
I guess I would just tag on to the junior golf program. Actually, that's something that existed here when I was that age. And so I can remember taking lessons at the Coeur d'Alene Golf Course from John Woodall
Okay.
at that time. Yeah. And so it's nice to see that come back.
Good, yeah.
It also marries very well with Coeur d'Alene Public Golf Foundation, Friends of the Coeur d'Alene Golf Course, which is, by the way, chaired by Dave Patzer, the former chairman of this commission.
Well, I think it was Dave that contacted us.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
Anyway, so it's a real good marriage because one of the primary missions for the foundation is to support youth golf. So perfect fit,
yeah.
love doing it.
Yeah,
Coeur d'Alene
that's good.
board is very pleased with it, Coeur d'Alene Golf Course board. So happy
Excellent.
marriage, hope it continues for many years.
Good, thank you.
Mr. McDowell, that was back in the day when woods were wood.
Yeah.
This is true.
Anything else?
I'm good.
Okay, I'm going to make a couple of, I guess I'll make a meeting announcement. Our next regular meeting of Coeur d'Alene Parks and Recreation Commission will be Monday, August 14th, 5:30 PM right here in the library community room. And with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made by Commissioner McDowell and seconded by Commissioner Tate to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, everybody.